We're back. This time we're taking a look at the Wave 18 ships. We have the USS Phoenix this time, and get right in and take a look. We have our Nebula-class dial. Same one that came with the Sutherland. So if you manage to get your hands on one of them, exact same dial. Here's our maneuver card. Pretty basic Federation maneuver dial. Doesn't have a come about, but you do have that reverse in there, which is kind of nice. Lacking those one tight turns. There we have our USS Phoenix. It's unique, Federation faction. 4 attack, 1 agility, 4 hull, 4 shield. We have 1 attack, 2 weapon upgrades, 2 crew upgrades for 26 points. We have evasive, target lock, scan, and battle station. Pretty standard Federation there. And our named ability is before you move, you may change your maneuver to another maneuver on your maneuver dial with the same speed. If you do, place an auxiliary power token beside your ship. There's a little extra mobility. You can basically change your dial after the fact at the cost of an auxiliary power token. It's an interesting ability. I like the fact that it's a pretty much optional, so once you see where everybody else moved and it's your turn to move, you can decide if you want to use it or not. Next we have our generic Nebula-class. You lose 1 shield. You lose 1 weapon upgrade for 24 points. Not sure if that's the same as the other one. I'd have to check, but sometimes the generics have a different slot loadout on them. For captains, we have Benjamin Maxwell. Captain skill is 6, 1 elite talent for 4 points. And when attacking a ship with one of your secondary weapons during the modify attack dice step, you may re-roll any one of your attack dice. He seems pretty good on some of the ships that get to fire secondaries, like the Sovereign class, where you're going to be using secondary weapons more, or some of the lighter ships that don't have a high attack value, where you're going to be using secondaries more often. Next we have Hayden. Captain skill of 2 for 1 point. Target a ship at range 1 to 2 that does not have your ship in its forward firing arc. If you attack that ship this round, you gain +1 attack die and roll 1 less defense die. Interesting guy there for 1 point. He's also an admiral. You get that +1 to your captain skill, and you get his ability as a fleet action. I think that's a little more useful, but at the same time, a 1 point captain with a skill 2 puts you above those generic captains if you have that extra point in there. Don't see any reason not to take him. And then we have our generic Federation captain. Captain skill of 1 for 0 points. For tech upgrades, we have prefix code. 5 points. As an action, discard this card to target a ship at range 1 to 2 of your ship. Disable up to 2 shield tokens on the target ship. Place an auxiliary power token beside your ship. A 5-point discard to disable shields. I'm not completely sold on. If it destroyed the shields, then definitely. At the cost of an auxiliary power token on top of that. Not sure how useful this is going to be. It can be used in combination with a bunch of other upgrades that are out there that require the target shields to be down. So I guess there's that going for it, but overall not that impressed with this one. For crew upgrades, we have Terry. 4 points. As an action, disable this card and 2 of your active shields to repair 1 damage to your ship's hull. Another mechanic out there that lets you repair things at the cost of disabling 2 shields and an action. There's better out there, but gives you another option for one of your other ships if you're already using one of the better repair cards the Federation has. Next we have Elizabeth Lindsay. 1 point. At any time you may discard this card to remove 1 disabled upgrade token from one of your crew or tech upgrades and place 2 time tokens on that upgrade. Time tokens are the new thing they've been using with torpedoes lately. Basically at the end of each turn you remove 1, and then when they're gone the item's re-enabled. Kind of an interesting one. You can discard her, so you're basically throwing a point away to get a free enable 2 turns down the road. If you're using something that requires disables or certain combos, it allows you to pull them off without spending the action to actually re-enable them. Useful in certain situations. The 2-turn delay kind of balances it out, I think. For 1 point, it's not a horrible commitment you're making to it, but the real drawback I see is that if you use this, put the 2 time tokens on there and then realize you don't have anything else to do, you could have spent an action re-enabling that, and now you can't because it'll have the 2 time tokens on there and there's nothing you can do at that point. For weapon upgrades, we have quantum torpedoes, 6 points, 5 attack, range 2 to 3. Spend your target lock and place 3 time tokens on this card to perform the action. If the target ship is hit, you add an extra hit to your result total, and it can be fired from your front or rear arc. Basically, it's your basic quantum torpedoes, but with the time token mechanic added in. Definitely one of the better torpedoes, and with the time mechanic, so you don't have to waste the time to re-enable them. Useful there. Still got to spend the action to get the target lock, which kind of sucks, but it is an option out there. Like I said, one of the better torpedoes. Next we have photon torpedoes, 5 points, attack of 5, range 2 to 3. Spend a target lock and place 3 time tokens on this card to perform the attack. You can convert one of your battle stations into a critical and can be fired from a front or rear arc. Again, it's a standard photon torpedo, this time with the time token mechanic instead of the normal disable. Always nice to have that as an option. Next we have Arsenal, 4 points. Add 2 weapon upgrades to your upgrade bar. When placing time tokens on any of your weapon upgrades, you may place one of those time tokens on this card. No ship can be equipped with more than 1 Arsenal upgrade. Basically, it's going to reduce the cost of any of your time token related weapons, like your torpedoes, because you're going to be putting one of the tokens on here. So only putting 2 on the torpedo, which makes them re-enable faster. Definitely a nice way to re-enable those weapons quicker, combined with some of the previous cards that we've gotten that lower time token numbers already. You can use a nice combination of these to really keep those up and running as fast as possible. Next we have aft torpedo launcher. This one's a question mark for the slot, 3 points. Can be used in a crew, tech, or weapon upgrade slot. When attacking with a photon torpedo upgrade, you may disable this card to target a ship that is not in your forward firing arc. This upgrade may only be purchased for a ship. I cannot talk today. This upgrade may only be purchased for a ship with a hull of 4 or greater that does not have a rear firing arc. It costs 5 extra points if purchased for any non-fed ship. Basically allows you to fire torpedoes outside your front arc on a ship that doesn't have a rear arc. The nice thing about this is if you were firing out of a rear arc, you're limited to that 90-degree rear arc. But using this card on a ship that only has a 90-degree front arc, now you're looking at being able to shoot out of all the way around. Basically gives you that option to fire torpedoes out the sides of your ship, which are very nice. The trade-off is not only are you tying up one of your slots for this upgrade, you're spending an extra 3 points, and you have to have a photon torpedo upgrade to really make use out of it. Then you have to decide if you want to use the older style photon torpedoes, which have the action economy where you need to re-enable them, or the newer ones which have the time tokens, and then any other upgrades you want if you want to try to reduce those time tokens down. So it can be pretty costly, but if you're going to build a ship into a torpedo boat, definitely a option to help make it a little bit more effective. For tech upgrades, we have high energy sensor sweep for 5 points. After you move, you may disable 1 active shield to perform a free scan action. No ship can be equipped with more than 1 high energy sensor sweep upgrade. Kind of an interesting little thing. I see there's a lot of stuff in this expansion that disables shields to do various things. This ship in general really doesn't have that many shields to start with, so not sure how many of them you'd want to pile on there. It is a disable, not a destroy, so they do come back at the end of the turn, but it's something to keep in mind. For a free scan action, there's a lot of things that trigger off of scan actions, so it may be worth it depending on the type of build you're using. 5 points seems a little excessive, but anything that gives you extra free actions is always a plus in the end. As for the rest of the expansion, have our 4 shield tokens, auxiliary and critical token, our time tokens, have evasive scan and battle station tokens, target lock B3 this time, have a disable token for Terry, our additional rules card for our Admiral, as well as the Fleet Action and Admiral token, and an additional rules card for the Time tokens. Our mission this time around is the Wounded. This one's a 2-player mission based on the Federation Cardassian peace talks, and the Federation thinking the Cardassians had broken a peace treaty and they're attacking an outpost. And it's 50 points of Federation with just the Phoenix and upgrades versus 70 points of Cardassians including 2 ships. And there's your different victory objectives. Interesting one there. Haven't gotten a chance to play them. I know I say that in every video, but there's so many missions to play through. Ship itself, it's the same model we got for the Sutherland. This time it's cast in that silver that they've been doing the ships in recently. I think they're going to stick with this. All the new releases have been done in this color, so still not exactly the same as the show, but I think it's closer than that bluish gray they used for a while. Just needs to be darkened down. Lots of detail on them. It is a really cool model. Not a huge fan of science ships, but definitely an interesting one. Here we have our Phoenix dial, 90-degree front arc, no rear arc, so you can make use of that aft torpedo launcher. And our generic Nebula-class, again, 90-degree front, no rear. Definitely a nice candidate for that aft torpedo launcher upgrade. Overall, it's a solid expansion. Some nice stuff for the Federation here. I know a lot of people are fans of the Nebula-class, so it's nice to see them getting some retail release love instead of just being the Sutherland, which was an OP prize. Couple interesting upgrades in here. Nothing absolutely must have. It's our first time for time-locked quantum torpedoes. That aft torpedo launcher is pretty nice. Arsenal is pretty nice when combined with some other stuff. And a high energy sensor sweep, while a little pricey points wise, anything with free actions is definitely a bonus. If you're a Federation player, definitely a solid addition to your fleet. For other people, it's one of those where it's hit or miss depending on if there's anything in particular you're looking for, if you play cross-faction or whatnot. But anyway, that's it for this one, and we'll see you in the next video.